It's not all bad all the time. There are a lot of really good, laughable moments. Do mysterious shadowy entities drift into our world from some other existence, another dimension, or another time? So I'm constantly having to bless this situation. Angels, Protector, and the Eight, are you here with me? While I was combing my hair and getting dressed, I was trying to help cross spirits because I could feel some. Did I? Thank you.
While I was combing my hair and getting dressed, I was trying to help cross spirits because I could feel something. Did I?
Goliath, are you here? I had a question for you, Goliath. If you're here, were you a past love of mine? Is that what you've been trying to tell me? Thank you.
Goliath, are you here? had a question for you, Goliath, if you're here. Were you a past love of mine? Is that what you've been trying to tell me?
Guess from another time. Angels and Protector, the 8. If God will grant me this answer, please tell me. Was I with Jesus and God before I was here? And is that also where I might have known Goliath? If God will grant me this as well. Whose bloodline am I a part of? Who am I a descendant of? Thank you.
Angels and Protector, the 8. If God will grant me this answer, please tell me. Was I with Jesus and God before I was here? And is that also where I might have known Goliath? Angels, Protector, and the 8, if I may know this, if God will grant me this as well. Whose bloodline am I a part of? Who am I a descendant of?
Protector, angels, the 8, God, Jesus, and Mary. had these questions on my mind for a while, and I'm sure you know this. So I'm going to go ahead and begin this session and ask. I love you. Okay. Is there a place where the veil is thinned between this realm and the other realm where you are? Where are these grounds? Thank you.
Is there a place where the veil is thinned between this realm and the other realm where you are? Where are these grounds?
Protector, Angels in the Eight, what can you tell me about the Bermuda Triangle? Thank you.
Protector, Angels in the Eight, what can you tell me about the Bermuda Triangle?
I've come across lycanthropy many times in my studies and research. I've seen ongoing cases of lycanthropy that lasted for years. There's even websites that are dedicated to the interest of lycanthropy cases as well. For example, I have the book Seekers of the Supernaturals, Conversations with Ed and Lorraine Warren. There was a case with Ed and Lorraine Warren regarding a man named Bill Ramsey who was possessed by a wolf spirit. At one point during the interview with Tony Spera, Ed stated, "The old ways of the Catholic religion, and if it were not for Lorraine and for Bishop McKenna, Bill Ramsey might be in a mental institution today. He might be dead, or he might have killed somebody. That was one of his worst fears, that he would kill somebody or hurt somebody so bad, and he would know nothing about it at all." Lycanthropy is a type of disease, but in this case, it was an actual possession. When we talk about the wolf spirit, this means that he would react as a wolf would react. He had the strength of 50 men. I mean, this guy did feats that nobody could ever imagine. Every legend has fact behind it someplace. Your vampires, your ghosts, and your werewolves. Bill Ramsey is the only case that I know of that was a true case of a werewolf. And Tony said, lycanthropy is the possession of the wolf spirit? Ed responded, possession by the wolf spirit. The wolf spirit in this case would be a demonic spirit. The Indians believe that it was an actual wolf spirit, an animal wolf. There are were-tigers, there are were-hippopotamuses. Father Michael of Nigeria, Africa, worked with Lorraine many years ago. He told us about his village in Nigeria, Cross River, and about how the hippopotamus and the crocodiles would be possessed by what they called the Water Society, which were men that would go into a catatonic state. They would leave that physical body with the astral body, and they would possess the body of a crocodile or a hippo or a tiger, and then they would do their foul deeds. This was different than what Bill Ramsey had occurred to him. He was possessed by a demonic spirit, which was called the wolf spirit. And Tony had said, that's why the exorcism by the Catholic priest was successful.
Angels and Protector and the 8. Okay, are werewolves real? We remember the case with Lorraine Warren. Are werewolves real?
Angels and Protector and the 8. Okay. Are werewolves real? We remember the case with Lorraine Warren. Are werewolves real?
So you know I'm going to meet with Tony, and he's going to have the Conjuring mirror and the Annabelle doll there, but I'm not going because of that, and he's aware of this. I'm going because I need to talk to him and we need to discuss some things. But before I go, in a couple weeks, I just need to know, do you have any messages for me, Holy Ones, Angels Protector, the 8, about the Annabelle doll that I should know before I go? I felt a thump on my recorder when I was recording it.
Do you have any messages for me, Holy Ones, Angels Protector, the 8, about the Annabelle doll that I should know before I go?
What is going on in my house specifically that you can tell me after nightfall? to help me understand. I hear something. I almost heard talking too. I hope my microphone picked it up, but my AC hasn't gone off yet, which I turned it off.
What is going on in my house specifically that you can tell me after nightfall to help me understand?
After nightfall, what exactly are you protecting me from?
After nightfall, what exactly are you protecting me from?
Now we're going to go into my questions in regards to Sunny's case. Protector, angels in the 8, I know that you were there while she was telling me everything that she's going through, and it's a lot. Is the demon attached to her or the stone that she stole? Is it a curse?
Protector, angels in the 8, I know that you were there while she was telling me everything that she's going through, and it's a lot. Is the demon attached to her or the stone that she stole? Is it a curse?
Angels, protector, and the 8. The spirits that are coming after nightfall, is there anything else that's coming with them that I don't like?
Angels, protector, and the eight. The spirits that are coming after nightfall, is there anything else that's coming with them that I don't like?
Angels, protector, and the eight, do you have any messages for me today? Angels, protector, and the eight, do you have any messages for me today?
Okay, so ghosts, ghouls, spirits, phantoms, apparitions, mysterious shadow people, shadowy entities.
What is a ghoul?
So there's a lot. That one has more history and myths and legend and things like that behind it. The myth of the ghoul predates Islam. You know, an evil spirit or phantom, especially, one supposed to rob graves and feed on dead bodies. It also, ghoul also means a person morbidly interested in death or disaster. It's an Arabic word. I think it was really recorded or documented as being used right around the 18th century. So from Arabic, ghoul is a desert demon believed to rob graves and devour corpses. Ghoul is a demon or monster originating in pre-Islamic Arabian religion, associated with graveyards and consuming human flesh. In modern fiction, the term has often been used for a certain kind of undead monster. By extension, the word ghoul is also used in a derogatory sense to refer to a person who delights in the macabre or whose possession is linked directly to death, such as a grave digger or, a grave robber. Ghouls are said to dwell in cemeteries or uninhabited places. A male ghoul is referred to as ghul, while the female is called ghula. In Arabic, it's identified as a female creature who is sometimes called mother ghoul, or a relational term such as aunt ghoul. She's portrayed in many tales, luring, or usually men, into her home where she can eat them. Some state that a ghoul is a desert-dwelling, shape-shifting demon that can assume a guise of an animal, especially a hyena. Preys on children, drinks blood, steals colons, and eats the dead. And in some cases, I've read that they can take the form of the person that they most recently had eaten. There is a particular ghoul, and it's a monstrous character, believed to be inhabiting, the wilderness of Afghanistan and Iran. Although not part of Islamic scriptures, some elaborated a myth of the origin of the ghoul. According to one myth, the Shayatin demons had won access to the heavens, where they eavesdropped and returned to earth to pass hidden knowledge to the soothsayers. When Jesus was born, 3 heavenly spheres were forbidden to them. With the arrival of Muhammad, the other 4 were forbidden. Tales of the ghoul circulated throughout the Middle East long before the 7th century spread to Islam through the region. In fact, the Arabic ghoul may stem from Gulu, the name of an Akkadian demon in ancient Mesopotamian mythology. Arabic scholars of the 8th, 9th, and 10th century compiled various Bedouin folktales involving ghouls. In the original Arabic texts, the ghouls of the 1001 Nights were vile tricksters and ravenous flesh eaters. They kidnapped victims and lured men to their doom by taking a disguise of a beautiful woman. Still, other ghouls emerge in the 8th century Tibetan Book of the Dead, which details the Buddhist journey through death. Here in the dreamlike state known as Bardo, the departed soul encounters the Shachi ghouls, if I recall correctly, fierce female beings with a bestial head and an appetite for bones and viscera. Iblis in Islam, the personal name of the devil, probably derived from the Greek Iblis, the counterpart of the Jewish and Christian Satan, is also referred to as an enemy of God. There's a name for it, or when he is portrayed as a tempter, a demon. So, regardless of how ghouls came to be in Arabic lore, it is known that much of what is known of these creatures comes from the work of Arabian Nights. This series of stories provides an interesting perspective on these creatures and where they come from. Because of this, ghouls were transformed in a way that many modern interpretations were formed of this creature. The overlap of perspective tends to agree the ghouls are humanoid creatures and tend to frequent areas that are largely abandoned by humans, like cemeteries. They're known to eat flesh, drink blood, though surprisingly the source of these things differs depending on which version of the legend that you follow.
So what do you think a spirit is?
They're just deceased people who were human and are stuck here, and they have free will, obviously, so even in the afterlife, and they chose not to go into the light for whatever the reason may be. They can be stuck here for hundreds of years, maybe even more. So it's human souls that need help and prayer and the light and God, and there's bad ones too. There's good and there's bad. Remember, they make the choice for a reason. They were either afraid to go into the light, fear of punishment, whatever it may be, or unfinished business, or they chose a darker side.
So what are apparitions?
Apparition. A ghost or a ghost-like image of a person, a shadow person even, known as like a shadow figure, shadow being, or a black mass, is the perception as a living humanoid figure, particularly as interpreted by believers in the paranormal or supernatural field, as the presence of a spirit or a shadow entity. Shadow people are dark silhouettes with human shapes and profiles that flicker in and out of your
peripheral vision. Oh, I said that terribly. Okay. There's claims that people have reported as far as these entities jumping on their chest and holding them down, weighing them down, and choking them. Some cases really, really bad. I had one guy, he was brutally choked every single night. Oh my gosh, until they moved out of that house. Long story. Some people believe that they are aliens or time travelers. It's really interesting. People all over the world with experiences, what they feel, what they see, what they hear, how they react, and how they interpret everything when it comes to apparitions or shadow people or shadow entities. And some even speculate that shadow people may be the extra dimensional inhabitants of another universe. The oldest first person encounter that I've come across in my research was a man interviewing this gentleman, and this is what he was told. He saw shadow people as a kid in the late 1940s. The oldest mention of entities like this in literature I found was in the late 1800s, although shadow people have been reported in various religions throughout history. These people have seen something real, moving, and menacing. The millions of people out there who get spooked by ordinary shadows eventually realize that's what it was. And there are many encounters that are misidentified, like sleep paralysis, other psychological manifestations that aren't shadow people encounters, although they seem to be. And I've noticed certain characteristics with these entities in my own experiences and regarding my research as far as other people's experiences go and things like that. For example, this menacing entity on some occasions has red eyes, red glowing eyes, and the shadow entity does not fade away the way that a ghost does. It walks away like a physical entity. I've noticed some cases with these beings are very malevolent. There's a lot of fear. And some they feel absolutely fine, and nothing bad happens to them. There are some beliefs that that shadow people are simply images of like interdimensional beings that are bleeding through into our realm. Astral projection is another similar explanation. Maybe these entities are what we can see of a person's astral form. There was this man, his story was documented, and he was dying of cancer, and his wife reached out to someone who was doing in-depth research on shadow people. And in the hospital, he kept seeing, every day, he would keep seeing all of these shadow people around his bed, up to 20 of them, and it just became too much for him. So he asked his wife, without like really telling her this concern, to, hey, I don't want to be here. So they went 150 miles away to this hotel, and he was weak, and when they got to the hotel room, he told his wife, he wanted to go on the trip to get away from the shadow people, to hide from them. However, they followed him. The last thing I recall is after she prayed for him, for the entities to leave him, they vanished after that, and he died. There's a number of stories that I've come across where shadow people are waiting for a person to die. And that's a little spooky.
myths. So myths and legends are interesting. Could some myths and legends be the result of poor eyesight back before corrective lenses were invented? And then glasses weren't even, corrective lenses were not even invented until the 13th century. Now, this is an interesting subject that comes up with myths and legends. So, for me, it depends on how many sightings there were, how many witnesses were explaining the same things that they were seeing. If it's like 1,000, then I don't think it was their eyes. And if they were building pyramids, then they could build some kind of glasses to help them see better.
People back then didn't have eye problems. The Egyptians were using making little glass figurines and working with glass, around like 1400 BC. So there was plenty of opportunity for them to make corrective glasses if people needed them.
Right. Yes. So it's really interesting where all these myths and legends, fall into play, and the little things we have to think about, like their eyesight, hearing, illness, things like that, what they could have been seeing, where these myths and legends hold truth.